For months, Shackleton and his crew had been trapped in the Weddell Sea. Their ship, the Endurance, frozen solid in the pack ice. Despite their best efforts to free her, the ice had slowly tightened its grip, and the ship had begun to groan under immense pressure. This is their first-hand account of the Endurance's final moments. The ship weighed 350 tons. It was built from Norwegian fir, English oak, and greenheart, a wood so dense it cannot be worked with steel tools. It was designed to withstand the worst the polar regions could offer. But the ice of the Weddell Sea does not care for the designs of men. On October 27, 1915, the pressure exerted by millions of tons of moving pack ice reached 10 tons per square foot. The Endurance, their home and their only path back to civilization, began to break apart beneath their feet. They were more than 1,200 miles from the nearest outpost of humanity, stranded on a floating, disintegrating continent of ice, with winter closing in. This is not a history lesson. This is his private log.
Arc 1. The First Assault. The pressure starts again. It is the last day of September. A new pressure ridge is rising, 100 yards from the ship. It is a slow, relentless birth. The flow we are frozen into is swinging, and we are moving against the ridge. The noise is deafening. The whole ship shivers. The dogs are uneasy. They know what this means. The pressure eases after 2 hours, a deceptive calm. But the ice has remembered we are here. For 2 weeks, it is quiet. We hunt seals, we play football on the floe. We pretend this is normal, we pretend we are not trapped. Then, on October 18th, it comes. A tremor runs through the ship. Then another. I am in my cabin. I feel the deck lift beneath me. On deck, the scene is chaos. The ice is moving. Not just grinding, but alive. A wave of pressure is coming from the west. It buckles the floes. It throws up ridges like mountains. The two floes holding the ship are driven together. The Endurance is the nut in the nutcracker. The timbers begin to shriek. It is a sound I have never heard, a sound of pain. She is lifted bodily upwards, 8 feet. Then she is thrown over, a 30-degree list to port. Everything not tied down crashes across the decks. Men are scrambling for handholds. The dogs are howling. The pressure holds for a full minute. A minute of pure, screaming noise. Then, silence. She settles back, but the list remains. The damage is done. We inspect the damage. The ice has bent her like a bow, but she is not broken, not yet. We are at the pumps. The men work in shifts day and night. A small leak at first. Manageable. The pressure returns at intervals. Each time, the groaning is louder. Each time, a new leak appears. The ship is fighting. I can feel her fighting. This greenheart timber, it refuses to snap. It bends, it moans, but it holds. The nights are the worst. Lying in my bunk, I can hear the ice grinding against the hull. It is a calculating sound, a predator circling its prey. We check the boats, the sledges, the provisions. We prepare for the worst. We do not speak of it, but every man knows. The ship is dying. On October the 23rd, another squeeze. This one is different. It is not just pressure, it is a twisting motion. The ice wants to wring the life out of her. The noise is indescribable, like the cries of a living creature in its death agony. We are helpless. We can only stand on the deck and watch our world be destroyed. The pressure eases again, a brief respite. She is still afloat, but she is wounded, mortally wounded. The leaks are worse. The pumps can barely keep up. We are living on borrowed time. The ice is just resting. It is gathering its strength for the final blow. Arc 2. The Squeeze. The morning of the 24th is calm, deceptively so. The sun is out. The ice is a glittering white desert. But the pressure ridges around us are higher, closer. The ship is listing heavily. We try to right her. We move 30 tons of coal from the port bunkers. We shift stores. It does nothing. The ice has her in its grip. At 4 p.m., the attack begins. No warning, just a sudden, violent convulsion of the ice. A floe, hundreds of acres in size, grinds down our port side. The ship rises again. The list increases. I hear a series of sharp reports, like gunshots. It is the sound of her internal timbers snapping, then a grinding, tearing sound from the stern. I run to the poop deck. Wild is there. Worsley, too. We stare over the side. We cannot believe what we see. The driving floe is moving across our stern. It catches the rudder, it splits it. Then it tears out the rudder post and the stern post with it. This is the mortal wound. The stern post is the backbone of the ship. Without it, she has no structural integrity. She is a broken thing. Water is pouring in, not leaking. Pouring. The pumps are useless now. The engine room is flooding. The noise is a symphony of destruction. The groaning of the timbers, the grinding of the ice, the rush of the water. And over it all, the howling of the dogs. They sense the end is here. I gather the men. There is no need for a long speech. They can see it. They can hear it. The ship is done. Our job now is to save ourselves. We must get the boats off, the stores, the dogs, everything we need to survive on the ice. The deck is at a 30-degree angle. It is covered in ice. A simple task made nearly impossible. The pressure is relentless. The ship is being pushed further and further over. At any moment, the ice could break through the deck. We work with a desperate energy. No one speaks. Just the grunts of effort, the scrape of wood on ice, the constant, terrifying noise of the ship's destruction. The ice is now breaking up right alongside us. Small floes, sharp and angry, are ramming the hull like battering rams. They are tearing her to pieces. We get the first boat, the Dudley Docker, to the edge. We lower it. It lands on the floe. It is safe. One boat is safe. The pressure does not stop. It increases. The entire port side of the ship is caving in. The noise is unbearable. It is the sound of a world ending. She is no longer a ship. She is wreckage. A collection of broken timbers held together by the ice that is destroying her. And we are still on board. We are still on this sinking, breaking thing. The ice is not finished with us. Arc 3, Abandoned Ship. It is October 27th, 5 p.m. The time has come. The ship can be our tomb at any moment. I give the order. Abandon ship! No one questions it. The deck is buckling under our feet. The water in the hold is level with the sea outside. She is only held up by the pressure. The work becomes frantic. We must get off, now. The dogs first. We lower them one by one in a canvas sling. Some are terrified. They fight. They don't understand. Then the sledges, the sleeping bags, the primus stoves, the fuel, the food, boxes of pemmican, biscuits, sugar. Our survival passed hand to hand from the dying ship to the frozen sea. The deck is a treacherous slope of ice. Men slip, they fall. A crate of biscuits slides away, lost in a crack in the ice. We cannot afford to lose anything. The ship gives a violent lurch. A new pressure wave hits. The mainmast shudders. The rigging groans. We work faster. I go below one last time, into my cabin. It is a wreck. The walls are bowed inwards. The floor is slanted at 45 degrees. I take the Union Jack, given to me by the king. I take the ship's log. I take a few photographs of my family. The rest can go. It is hard to leave. This ship has been our home for a year. She has fought so well. Now we leave her to die alone. By 7 p.m., we are all on the ice. All 28 of us. The dogs, the 3 boats, a pile of stores. We are an island of men on an ocean of ice. We set up a camp. We call it Ocean Camp. A pathetic name for a patch of snow on a moving floe. The tents are pitched. The cook, Green, tries to light a blubber stove. We are 100 yards from the ship. We watch her. The pressure is relentless now. It is toying with her, lifting her, crushing her, twisting her. She is a sight I will never forget. In the half-light of the Antarctic evening, she is a wounded giant. The ice floes are like wolves tearing at her flanks. The noises are horrific, the death cries of 1,000 tons of wood and steel. Each crack, each groan echoes across the ice. It is a funeral dirge. We eat our first meal on the ice. Hot whoosh. It warms us, but no one speaks. We just eat and we watch. Night falls, but there is no sleep. Not with that sound, not with that sight. We are castaways, our ship is gone. Our only link to the world is being erased before our eyes. And we are utterly, completely alone. Arc 4. The death throes. For days we watch her die. She does not sink quickly. The ice holds her up even as it destroys her. It is a form of torture, for her and for us. We move our camp further away. The ice is too unstable. We name the new site Patience Camp. It is a fitting name. All we can do is wait and watch. I make trips back to the wreck with a small party. It is a dangerous gamble. The ship is a death trap, but we need more supplies. We are salvagers, picking over the bones of our own ship. We cut through the deck with saws and axes. We need to get to the stores below. The ship groans and shifts around us. At any moment, she could go down, taking us with her. We recover what we can. Cases of food, more fuel, even some of the scientific equipment. Every pound is a victory. Every pound is another day of life. One day, we are working on the deck when the pressure returns. The ship screams. The whole structure convulses. We scramble for our lives. We get clear just in time. The foretopmast and the top-gallant mast break off. They fall with a crash, taking a tangle of rigging with them. The end is near. She is being stripped bare. Her masts, her rigging, her pride, all gone. She is just a hulk now, a skeleton. November 21st. The day comes. I am watching from the camp. The ship is low in the water. The ice has finally released its grip to let her drown. Her bow lifts high into the air, a final desperate gesture. She looks like a monument to disaster. Then she begins to slide. Not quickly, almost gently, she slides beneath the ice. The stern goes first, then the midships, then the bow. She's gone. There is nothing, just the endless, empty ice. The men are silent. Some have tears freezing on their cheeks. Our last link to home. Gone. I turn to the men. She's gone, boys! It is all I can say. There is nothing else to say. Now, the real journey begins. We are alone. 2,000 kilometers of moving ice between us and land. We have 3 small boats and our own will to survive. That is all.
Shackleton was wrong about one thing. He was not just the leader of 27 castaways. He was the guardian of 27 lives, and over the next 5 months, he would lead them across the breaking ice and the most treacherous seas on the planet in a desperate, impossible bid for survival. His ship was gone, his expedition a failure, but the story of the Endurance was only just beginning. It would become one of the greatest survival epics ever recorded. A testament not to discovery, but to the resilience of a leader who promised his men he would get them home, and who refused to break that promise.
We are adrift. The ship is gone. We stood on the ice and watched her go down yesterday, November the 21st, 1915. A final convulsive shudder, and the ice closed over her for good. The silence now is the worst part. For months, the groaning of the ship's timbers under pressure was the soundtrack to our lives. Now, nothing. Just the wind and the occasional creak of the ice under our feet. I have 27 men looking to me for what comes next. They are all I have left. I have promised them we will all get home. A promise I make to myself as much as to them. We have the 3 boats salvaged from the deck. We have the sledges, the dogs, and what supplies we could pull from the wreck before she sank. We are 156 miles from the nearest known land, Paulet Island, but we are on a drifting floe, a temporary raft of ice in a hostile sea. I call our new home Patience Camp, because patience is all we have, and all we can do. Patience Camp. The first task is routine. Without it, we are lost. We must fight the despair that gnaws at the edges of every thought. So we build a new life on this floating piece of ice. The cook, Green, builds a galley from the ship's salvaged stove and a wall of ice blocks. He works miracles. Seal steak, penguin breast, cooked over a blubber fire. The smoke is thick and greasy, but the warmth is life. We eat 2 meals a day. Breakfast at 9 a.m. Whoosh, a thick stew of whatever we have at 5 p.m. It is monotonous, but it is fuel. It keeps the cold at bay for a little while. My tent is the center of the camp. I share it with Frank Wild, my second in command, and with the chronometers. I wind them every day without fail. We must know the time. We must know our position, even if our position is hopeless. The dogs are a constant concern. We have nearly 70 of them. They are our engines, our hope for pulling the boats across the ice. But they are also mouths to feed, and our supply of dog food, the dried fish and pemmican, is finite. The seals are not always plentiful. We hold a concert one evening. Leonard Hussey plays his banjo, the only instrument we saved. The men sing. For a few hours, we are not castaways. We are just men, singing badly in the middle of nowhere. It is a fragile, precious thing, this morale. But the ice is a fickle landlord. It groans, it shifts. Small cracks appear, running like veins through our camp. Every sound makes us jump. Every tremor is a reminder that our home is temporary, and it is breaking apart beneath our feet. Christmas Day, December 25th, we allow ourselves a feast. I break out the last of the luxuries, a spoonful of jam for each man, a piece of tinned fruit. We sing carols. We try to pretend we are somewhere else, anywhere else. But the cold is a constant companion. The sun is now up for 24 hours a day. It is relentless. The glare of the snow is blinding. It brings no warmth, only a painful, unending light. It makes sleep difficult and erases the boundary between one miserable day and the next. The dogs. The dogs are a problem. The ice is too broken to sledge the boats. Keeping them is a drain on our resources. On January 14th, I give the order. Wild has to shoot the weakest ones. It's a terrible, necessary butchery. The sound of the shots echoes across the ice, a sound of failure. We are drifting north, faster now, into warmer waters. The flow is shrinking. The swell of the open ocean is noticeable, a gentle rocking that promises destruction. The ice is rotting from below. We are living on borrowed time, and the loan is coming due. The breaking of the flow. April 8th. The end comes suddenly. A swell, larger than any before, rolls under our flow. It lifts us, and then it cracks. A massive fissure, yards wide, splits our camp in two. Half the camp is on one side, half on the other. The ice is moving, grinding. The gap widens. For a moment, it looks like we are permanently separated. But the flows crash back together with the force of an earthquake, throwing up huge blocks of ice. We have to move. Now! This flow is no longer a camp. It is a death trap. I give the order, abandon the camp to the boats. We launch the boats into the churning water between the ice chunks. The James Caird, the Dudley Docker, the Stancomb Wills. 28 men in 3 small boats, open to the Antarctic sky. The ice that was our home for 5 months is now our greatest enemy. The first night in the boats is hell. We are soaked. The temperature plummets. Sea spray freezes to our clothes, our beards, the oars. We row in shifts, pushing aside chunks of ice with our hands, trying to find a channel of open water. We try to camp on a larger floe, but it's unstable. In the middle of the night, it splits right under the Dudley Docker. The men sleeping on it are thrown into the chaos. Holness, one of the stokers, vanishes between the grinding ice. I scream his name. For a moment, he is gone. Then, a miracle. He surfaces, gasping, on the other side. I grab him by the scruff of his clothes and haul him out. He is alive. Barely. There is no more camping on the ice. It is too dangerous. From now on, we live in the boats. We row, we drift, we freeze. The killer whales arrive. Orcas. They surface near the boats, their black fins cutting through the grey water. They are curious or hungry. They stalk us for hours, diving under our small crafts. The men are terrified. They feel the hulls vibrating as the massive creatures pass beneath. We are so small, so vulnerable. A single flick of a tail could end us. Thirst becomes the new enemy. We are surrounded by water, but we cannot drink it. Our freshwater supply is a few blocks of old sea ice, now melting in barrels. We ration it by the spoonful. Our tongues swell, our lips crack. My own thirst is a fire in my throat. I see the men looking at me, their eyes pleading. I have to be the last to drink. My authority, our survival, depends on these small acts of discipline. I chew on raw seal meat. The blood is salt, but it is wet. After 5 days of this torment, Worsley, my navigator, gets a brief glimpse of the sun. He gets a position. We are close to Elephant Island. Land. Real, solid land. The words spread from boat to boat, a jolt of electricity. Hope. It's a dangerous, powerful drug. Elephant Island. Land. It is the ugliest, most desolate rock I have ever seen. Black cliffs rising from a furious sea, covered in a thick mantle of ice. But it is land. Solid. Unmoving. After 497 days on the ice, we have reached land. We find a small beach, a spit of gravel and rock, barely wide enough to pull the boats up. The men stumble out, falling to their knees. Some of them weep. Others just lie on the stones, pressing their faces to the solid ground. The relief is overwhelming, but it is short-lived. This place is not a refuge. It is a prison. The beach is battered by constant waves. The cliffs behind us are unclimbable. There is no vegetation, only penguins, seals, and ice. No rescue ship will ever come here. This island is far from any shipping lane. No one in the world knows we are here. They think we are dead. The initial euphoria gives way to a grim reality. We have escaped the ice only to be marooned on a rock. I see it in their eyes. The hope is draining away. I have to do something. To stay here is to die. A slow, cold death from starvation or sickness. I gather the men. I tell them my plan. It is a desperate gamble, a forlorn hope. Most of us will stay here, but I will take one of the boats, the James Caird, and 5 men. We will attempt to sail to South Georgia, 800 miles, across the most ferocious ocean on the planet, the Drake Passage, in a 22-foot open boat. It is madness. It is impossible, but it is our only chance. The men are silent. They know it too. I choose my crew. Worsley, the navigator. Without him, we are lost. Tom Crean, an indomitable Irishman who fears nothing. McNeish, the carpenter, who can keep the boat afloat. McCarthy and Vincent, strong seamen. McNeish works wonders on the Caird. He builds a makeshift deck from the lids of packing cases and canvas. It will give us a sliver of protection from the waves that will try to swamp us. We load the boat with ballast, with stones from the beach, and our meager rations. On April 24th, 1916, we are ready. The sea is relatively calm, a rare gift. I leave Wilde in command of the 22 men who will remain. I tell him to look for my return in a month. If I do not come back, he knows what that means. We push the James Caird into the surf. The men on the shore give us 3 cheers. Their voices are thin against the roar of the sea. I look back at them, a small huddle of black figures on a grey beach. I have their lives in my hands. I cannot fail. The voyage of the James Caird, the sea. It is a liquid mountain range. The waves are like nothing I have ever seen. Cape Horn rollers, some are 60 feet high. We are not sailing over them, we are climbing them. The Caird is a cork in a maelstrom. We climb a liquid cliff, hang for a terrifying moment at its crest, then plunge down the other side into a valley of water. The boat is constantly awash. We are always wet, always cold. There is no room. The 6 of us are crammed into a space the size of a closet. 3 men are in the tiny shelter under the deck, trying to get a few moments of rest in wet, frozen sleeping bags. 3 are on deck, 1 at the tiller, 2 bailing, always bailing. Sleep is impossible. The cold is a physical pain that never leaves. It seeps into your bones. Our feet are numb, lumps of ice. Frostbite is a constant threat. My hands are raw from the tiller. The boat ices over. Every wave that breaks over us leaves a layer of ice. The boat gets heavier, lower in the water. It threatens to capsize. We have to crawl out onto the slick, frozen deck in a hurricane and chip the ice away with axes. 1 man, McCarthy, is almost lost. A wave tears him from his hold. He is overboard, but he is still holding the painter, the boat's bow rope. We drag him back in, half drowned and frozen. We are all just 1 wave away from death. Thirst, again. The freshwater barrels are in the bow, almost impossible to reach. When we get to them, we find one is contaminated with seawater. Our ration is cut, a half pint a day, for men working to exhaustion in the freezing cold. One night, I am at the tiller. It is my watch. The sea is apocalyptic. I see what looks like a line of white sky on the horizon, a break in the storm. I shout to the men that the weather is clearing. Then I realize it is not the sky, it is the white crest of the biggest wave I have ever seen in my life. A rogue wave. It is already upon us, I shout. For God's sake, hold on! It's got us! The world becomes a chaos of water and pressure. We are submerged, thrown about in the darkness. The boat is filled, nearly swamped, but she rises. Shuddering, half full of water, she breaks the surface. The caird lives. We live. After 14 days, Worsley, through some miracle of navigation, using a sextant in a hurricane, tells me we are near South Georgia. We see seaweed in the water, then birds, shags. We know they do not fly far from land. On the 16th day, through a gap in the driving snow and mist, we see it. A black cliff, rock, land, South Georgia. We have crossed 800 miles of hell. We have made it. But our ordeal is not over. It has just entered its final, most desperate stage.
Shackleton and his 5 men had reached South Georgia, but they had landed on the uninhabited, storm-lashed southern coast. The whaling station, their only hope for rescue, were on the other side of the island. Between them lay a chain of unmapped glacier-carved mountains and crevassed ice fields that no human had ever crossed. After surviving the world's worst ocean in a tiny boat, their final challenge was to conquer an alpine barrier that would have tested elite mountaineers in peak condition. Shackleton and his men were on the verge of starvation, racked with frostbite, and at the absolute limit of human endurance. There are more visses in the archive waiting to be read.